That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea.
Thought I would win against Anthony, but here I am with a broken jaw, learning the hard way. I'll heal. I'll be back.
December 19th dropped like a bomb when Jake Paul got completely dismantled and Dana White's brutal prediction came true after that devastating Anthony Joshua clash, because one perfect shot in the 6th round exposed the massive divide between social media stardom and legitimate heavyweight power. What went down in Miami was pure devastation, payback, and the precise instant Jake Paul's boxing facade completely shattered.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Miami's Kaseya Center was electric one moment. Complete silence the next. Anthony Joshua's power shot connected in round 6 and did way more than drop Jake Paul. It sucked all the energy out of the building.
Bro, he got hit with a bomb.
That crushing right hand, when the footage captured the exact moment reality hit. This wasn't a stumble. This wasn't unlucky timing. This wasn't material for future comedy content. Minutes before, Jake strutted around radiating cockiness, shoulders relaxed, drinking up every bit of spotlight. Minutes after, paramedics crowded around him, his jaw in pieces, his bout over, his storyline obliterated. That violent shift explains why this moment hit with such devastating force. This wasn't simply another defeat. It was the complete collapse of a meticulously crafted fantasy.
Look, that guy did great for someone who's been boxing for like less than a decade. He has had no real professional opponents other than Tommy Fury.
Let me tell you, Jake Paul did not stop.
Jake didn't accidentally wander into this spot. His fighting journey was calculated from day one. Rivals were hand-picked. Size advantages were negotiated. He ducked killers early on and picked names that generated buzz without extreme risk. Past their prime fighters, undersized opponents, or competitors from different sports, the strategy delivered results. 12 victories, 7 stoppages. Millions of supporters bought into his legitimacy. Press coverage supported the narrative. Content creators boosted the hype. Doubters got labeled as envious or resentful.
Boxing is not a game. Fighting is not something you pick up and mess around with, right? If you're a fighter, if you're a boxer, if you're a mixed martial artist, right, you have to take this seriously and you have to respect the game.
But that blueprint only functions when every element remains manageable. Jake consistently competed under his preferred conditions. Physical advantages mattered, weight classes mattered, and experience differentials mattered. For years, those factors stayed buried beneath knockout compilations and bravado. The genuine threat was never any single fighter. The genuine threat was drinking your own Kool-Aid. Assuming that momentum built through manufactured scenarios would translate against a full-blown elite heavyweight, Anthony Joshua shattered that assumption. This wasn't some crossover spectacle or entertainment stunt. Joshua showed up as exactly what he's always represented: a legitimate heavyweight carrying 26 knockouts and serious repercussions. He didn't require promotional stunts or verbal warfare. From round 1, the talent gap was glaring. Jake Paul wasn't competing. He was hanging on, holding, grabbing, grappling, desperately trying to contain a fight spiraling beyond his reach. The velocity, precision, and force were already overwhelming, and the conclusion was written.
Counter right. There's the right hand. Jake Paul goes down again. Man, he's tired.
Joshua maintained his composure, never forced anything, never hunted for a highlight reel finish. He was patient. Round 5 brought the warning signs. Jake hit the canvas. Then again, every knockdown peeled away another layer of belief. Round 6 wasn't theatrical. It was destiny. One clean power punch, flawless timing, perfect accuracy, just physics taking over.
Best shot at the moment. Not that much is going to happen. And it almost... Oh, there's a left hook. Oh,
when Jake couldn't get back up, the numbers painted a savage picture. First time he'd ever been knocked out cold. Second, loss overall. His record now reads 12 wins against 2 defeats. Joshua, meanwhile, collected his 29th victory and 26th knockout, treating it like routine business. Jake, however, departed with fractured facial bones, emergency procedures, medical supervision, and a liquid-only meal plan. You can argue split decisions. You can question judges' scorecards. You can't argue with bone fractures. That's concrete evidence.
Bad idea. That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what, a lot of people will watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one. I think everybody's going to get what they've finally been waiting for.
This brings Dana White into the narrative, not as someone with financial interest, not as media talent, but as the person who predicted this exact outcome well before any contracts got signed. Dana wasn't subtle about his stance. He stated it on record. He labeled the matchup a terrible decision. He cautioned that Jake was entering territory completely beyond his comprehension. Back then, critics dismissed him, claimed Dana felt threatened, suggested he feared influencer combat sports. Following the knockout, Dana stayed completely silent. That knowing grin communicated volumes. This wasn't about grudges. This was about inevitability.
She'll fight for a second. It happened in the 6th round, and it happened in a 22-foot ring. A typical ring is 20 foot. This one was 22 foot because he wanted a bigger room to operate, a bigger space, a bigger ring, somewhere to...
That's what cuts deepest for Jake Paul, because this wasn't random misfortune. This bout didn't just reveal a talent disparity, it revealed a fundamental misunderstanding. Boxing isn't some video game you master through self-belief alone. It's indifferent to social media metrics, promotional buzz, or personal brands. It only responds to what transpires when two individuals face each other, and one has dedicated decades to perfecting controlled violence at championship level. Jake Paul discovered this truth brutally, and everyone witnessed the education.
He did get tired, and there was a lot of clinching, but the clinching was from Jake Paul, from him shooting, from him actually getting double underhooks, from him doing anything he could when Anthony Joshua moved forward to stop the punches being thrown.
The real ending didn't occur when officials stopped the action. That's what most people overlook. The final bell couldn't rescue Jake Paul. The 10 count didn't stop the lasting damage. The actual fallout began later when the rush faded and harsh truth arrived with medical forms, imaging scans, and physicians who ignore online fame. Shattered jaw, emergency room, and surgical repair. That's not content you joke about in recovery videos. That's your skeleton, sending an official notice to your pride. Immediately, everything transformed. Verbal attacks vanished. Social media went quiet. The same person who documented every career move suddenly disappeared. Because when your mouth is secured shut and you're consuming liquids through straws, confidence feels different. This wasn't cosmetic damage or minor bruising. This was proof that challenging authentic heavyweights carries consequences that continue long after cameras stop rolling. Online tough guy acts work great during press events. They work much worse in medical gowns.
Right, this is a crazy shout. He lost because he was smaller. He lost because of the size difference. He also lost because he had no business being in there with him. Anthony Joshua is by far a better boxer. Of course he is. You know this. Watch it. Every one of you watching this knows that.
This dramatic reversal made the impact so crushing. Hours earlier, Jake was moving confidently, grinning, absorbing every spotlight moment. Now medical professionals surrounded him, discussing healing schedules. That's why this defeat resonated differently. Supporters can mock controversial decisions. They can create memes from knockdowns, but fractured bones and operations aren't comedy anymore. That's genuine consequences. Boxing's form of documentation. While Jake handled medical consultations, Dana White confronted something completely different: vindication. Dana hadn't suddenly inserted himself into this discussion after the knockout. He'd been sounding alarms about this matchup long before gloves were laced. He called it misguided publicly, directly stated Jake was venturing into completely inappropriate territory. Initially, people ignored the warnings, claimed Dana felt bitter, said he despised influencer fighting, suggested he envied Jake's following.
And Jake Paul couldn't do anything to him. He made a ton of money, and I know people are mad you stayed home on a Saturday night, but you didn't pay for it.
Then contact was made, and Dana didn't gloat. He didn't lecture. He didn't embark on any validation tour. He simply grinned. That subtle, almost indifferent expression communicated more than any press conference could. because Dana didn't need to announce his vindication. The video evidence handled that. Years of doubts about Jake's fighting credibility suddenly appeared, less like negativity and more like accurate prediction. This wasn't Dana defeating Jake Paul. This was facts supporting Dana's position in crystal clear definition. It represented symbolism. Social media influence collided directly with boxing reality and failed. The reason it hurt so much is Dana never exaggerated. He didn't oversell the risk. He simply recognized it. He's observed legitimate fighters long enough to understand what happens when confidence exceeds capability.
Just box someone your own size, not a 35er, not a super heavyweight, not a two-time world champion, okay, or a gold medalist at the Olympics. Fight a cruiserweight.
This is where mental recovery becomes complicated for Jake Paul. Because physical healing has a timeline, psychological damage runs deeper. Post-fight, Jake claimed he stunned Anthony Joshua, insisted he captured rounds. Sure, that's natural human response. That's the rejection stage. But his body language revealed a different truth. The careful movement, the blank expression, the way he communicated without his trademark intensity. You could detect it. Something fundamental had changed.
It wasn't the best performance. It wasn't the best. The end goal was to get Jake Paul, pin him down and hurt him. That has been the request leading up, and that was on my mind. It took a bit longer than expected, but the right hand finally found a destination. Now, Jake Paul, he's done really well tonight. I want to give him his props. He got up time and time again.
This marked his first knockout defeat. Losing on points damages your statistics. Getting stopped unconscious alters your self-perception. It creates questions you can't social media your way around. Jake has consistently managed to control his story. Fresh challenger, new perspective, different narrative thread. But when you're finished like that, there's no alternative route. And the separation between losing and being destroyed is enormous. A judge's decision allows debate. A knockout ends all discussion. Your confidence doesn't just suffer, it breaks apart. Suddenly, the easier paths don't seem so intelligent. Suddenly, the dangers feel genuine. Suddenly, the discipline stops resembling content creation and starts resembling actual warfare. That transformation didn't only impact Jake, it spread outward. Logan Paul experienced it as well. Before the bout, Logan was vocal, assured, surfing momentum like usual. After the knockout, that enthusiasm disappeared. Because the Paul empire has always centered on management. Managed mayhem, managed stories, managed danger. For the first time, they lost all management. You can't edit hospital records, you can't reframe a destroyed jaw. You can't shield your sibling from natural laws. That's when entertainment becomes deeply personal. That's the silent aftermath nobody anticipated. The instant when everyone, from supporters to event organizers, faced a critical question. When does it go too far? Because this wasn't entertainment malfunctioning. This was truth, delivered at heavyweight velocity. Once that boundary gets crossed, there's no going back. Jake Paul didn't simply lose one fight. He lost the fantasy that physics bend indefinitely. Once that fantasy shatters, every future step carries more weight.
I need to give this guy a systematic breakdown. I know what type of fighter he is, and I said I'm going to take his soul, and I said I'm going to see it leaving his body round after round, and when the time comes, some people are just there to get knocked out. And I said it, and that's exactly what happened.
This bout silently destroyed the concept of risk-free crossover fighting. The understood agreement was always obvious. Social media stars stay in shallow water, never the deep ocean. Jake Paul violated that boundary, and Anthony Joshua ensured it won't be forgotten. This wasn't manufactured drama, meeting manufactured drama. This was artificial hype crashing into authentic levels it couldn't reach. Immediately, promoters grew worried. Athletes became careful, and audiences stopped finding it amusing. Professional fighters don't need influencer paychecks, desperately enough to risk becoming tomorrow's cautionary tale. Mouth wired closed, reputation in question, that single knockout froze crossover combat entirely. For Jake, no clean escape routes remain. The statistics are forever now. First knockout loss, second defeat overall, 0 rematch possibilities, no moral victories. Supporters divide between understanding and we told you so. Financial backers examine closer, potential opponents reconsider. Respect suddenly costs more, and the ultimate lesson stays simple. Boxing ignores follower counts. Dana White didn't destroy Jake Paul. Truth did. Anthony Joshua didn't simply win one fight. He defended professional standards. This wasn't controversy. This was natural law.